having an amazing day. Everyone except for Joe Rogan. I would imagine his days are filled with insecurity and confidence. You may say, how do those two work together? But that guy is confidently insecure all over the place, and it's affecting our country. There is a great article written by Pajiba. I don't know how you pronounce it, on Substack. Link down in the description, that we're going to discuss today. This guy did his college thesis, his master's thesis on Hunter S. Thompson, which, that's fucking awesome, okay? In high school, I did one of my final essays, theses on the Tupac Shakur murder investigation. And listen, hey, if you love something, pursue it, you know? Even if you can't capitalize off it. That's the thing that sucks, is here in America, you gotta capitalize off everything or you can't eat. If you don't turn your knitting hobby into a business, then you're not gonna get a tax break and you're gonna starve to death. But I think that's fantastic that this guy did his whatever thesis in college. I forget if it was a master's. I don't have it in front of me. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you. Good morning. Good Friday to you. We're going to talk about this article where he says, Joe Rogan really loves Hunter S. Thompson, but Hunter S. Thompson would despise Joe Rogan, and he would and hate him. Anybody who's read a little bit of Hunter S. Thompson knows that it's not just about the chaos of drugs and conspiracy, but Hunter pursued a greater truth for the people. Seha, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time. Holy smokes. Are you doing all right? Hopefully, oh man, it's like a reunion. Much love to you. Really good for you to stop by. And welcome to anybody else who stops by. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. And thank you to everybody who has joined the family, the community. Black Merlin is back. What is up? Germany is in the house. See, I love this. I love getting to see the community returning. And that's why I say when you hit the subscribe button, it used to be a subscribe button and then a notification bell next to it. I think YouTube changed it where once you hit subscribe, it turns into the notification bell. I Am Squeaky Wheel is back. I got a new bong, smoking on Blackberry Trainwreck. Let's go. I'm happy for you, Squeaky Wheel. I don't partake. My life took a different route. I used to be a big pothied. But I'm still an activist. I still fight for it to be legalized in every state at the federal level. If you don't know, the government in 2001 got a patent on the antioxidants in cannabis. So the fact that in any state you would be a criminal is criminal itself. I hate that. It bugs me to the nth degree that you can be in one state, driving along in one state on a highway, and you're a medical patient or a consenting adult, and then you drive far enough across an imaginary line and you become a criminal. That still exists here in America. That just shows you how the power in America is corrupt. I've seen so many presidents and presidential candidates promise to decriminalize at a federal level, and they haven't. And when Joe Biden did that whole I'm releasing the federal prisoners of cannabis, it's like there was like 4 of them. You know what I mean? On trafficking charges. So it's really at a state level that we need to get people. It bothers me to no degree that there are people in like Louisiana who are serving time in jail for what in America I could walk 100 meters right now and buy weed. All right. Sorry, Squeaky Wheel, to go off on a tangent there, but I'm glad you're partaking in the great American spirit of freedom. So welcome. I'm Rob. This is a news commentary, newsmentary, as I've branded it. YouTube, get with the program. And I bring you news or interesting articles, or sometimes we just discuss life and culture. Sometimes, because I'm so old, I just say, listen, youngins and oldins, here's what I've learned, okay? In my life, sometimes I feel like it's been like, what's that dude who did all those movies where they had the surprise endings? The Village. M. Night Shyamalan. Sometimes I feel like my life is like a M. Night Shyamalan movie because all of a sudden, boom, you hit with the twist. Squeaky wheel. Let's see what he said. It's like wine. So many strains out here. So many different medical benefits. Plus, it's a fun and good for stress. I wish it could be legal on a federal level. Washington State. Respect to what? What's up, B. Nicole? Squeaky wheel. The other community member here. The other family member. The other fan bam. CJ is in Washington State, and that is one place I've longed to go my entire life, to the Pacific, the Great Pacific Northwest. I've heard it's beautiful. I watch YouTube videos on it. And Washington State really led the way in cannabis legalization. They set the tone. They proved that it could be. That's all you got to do, is you got to prove that it could be very profitable. Here's the conundrum within the cannabis industry. We knew it could be profitable. That's why there was a huge black market. That's why that was most of our part-time jobs growing up. Wink, wink. Just kidding. Everything satire, all jokes. And once we proved it was profitable, many states took to it and they taxed it heavily. And then they used those taxes to revitalize the community, or most likely you're just going to war efforts, whatever, under the guise of like, hey, we're helping schools. And now the problem is that because it became so profitable, just like everything else in America we're going to address, rich white people and private equity bought it all up, and it's damn near impossible to work in the sector, start a business in the sector. I mean, there are people that I've known that spent their whole life in cannabis. Whole life. They are damn good too. Can't be any geek off the streets. You got to be handy with the steel, you know what I mean? Earn your keep. And these people cannot get jobs there. I'm one of them. Listen, I'm one of them who's like, listen, if your resume is your rap sheet, I got a good resume, okay? And I go in and interview with, Tom and Bianca, these two white rich kids that probably, didn't even touch it in college, never mind high school, and took one puff, and then we're like, this is magical, and their fucking parents probably own the thing, and they look at me and they're like, nah, we ain't hiring you. I'm like, bitch, I've been growing this before you even knew what it was. I live on the coast in a small fishing town of Westport. Salmon runs twice a year, fall runs and spring runs. That is amazing. My goodness. I was just looking at homes in South Washington near, I can't remember what it is, but I would do anything. I almost had a job. I don't know if you listen to radio, Squeaky Wheel. For about a year and a half, there was a station called K-Rock, or I forget what it was. There was a rock station that only existed for a year and a half. I almost got the morning show, and then they syndicated it to a guy show from San Antonio. And I told the guy, I wrote the guy who did the hiring, the program director, I wrote him an email and said, that show's going to fail and you're going to tank that station. And within a year, the show had failed and the station got sold off and flipped. It wasn't a rock show anymore. And it could have existed. Seattle's prime real estate for radio, rock radio. And I knew, because I listened. As soon as he told me who he hired, I went and listened to their show, and they were like jagoffs, They thought D jokes were funny and misogyny was like hilarious. And I thought, that ain't gonna fly in Seattle. And now Seattle is just losing all its rock stations. I know quite a few people. I just went for another job with BJ Shea, the Sarah and BJ Shea show in Seattle, and they fired BJ. And I was like, yo, you need some help. The show isn't funny. Like, I love BJ, he's a good guy, but that show sucked. And I heard on radio, just so you know, if there's something popular, you need to know about it. And there would be popular things on radio, and both Sarah and BJ would be like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. And I was like, your job on radio, my job was to watch TV or learn about cultural things. Hey, what's up, Kathy? All right, so I'm going to stop going off on tangents. I got to focus, hyper focus. We're going to talk about Joe Rogan and his unhealthy obsession with Hunter S. Thompson. And I only call it unhealthy because he doesn't understand who Hunter S. Thompson was. Yes, he may have read Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, but did he really? Did that knuckle dragger, that Joe Rogan, he looks like proof of evolution, That motherfucker really does look like proof of evolution. And he's from Natick, Mass. And the thing is like, you know people like him. If you grow up in Massachusetts, Kathy, hey, what's up? Solus, let's play some Fortnite this weekend. If Kathy's can attest to this, she's another masshole. And you know people like Joe Rogan, his cadence, the way he walks, the way he talks, the way he acts. We know those people. They're a dime a dozen around here. He just, you know, his acting chops were not good on TV, but they were superb when it came to his podcast, because he has alternative motives. And Joe claims to be, I saw that Joe had Bill Murray on, and I thought, God damn, Bill, you're lending Joe too much credibility. Joe Rogan has a podcast, if you don't know. And recently, Bill Murray appeared on it for 3 hours. And I guess Bill Murray didn't really know who Joe Rogan was. And I can't blame Bill Murray. Bill's older, does his own thing. I don't even think has a cell phone. Bill Murray is a unicorn. But he went on, and from the reports, because I will not listen to Joe Rogan unless it's clips or excerpts. I'm not going to give him, I can't invest, my time is too valuable to hear that idiocracy. The only time I try to listen to it is, you know, to debunk his flat out lying or ignorance to what he's being sold as the truth. And apparently the first hour of Bill Murray being on the Joe Rogan show is Joe just, you know, fangirling out over Hunter S. Thompson. And if you don't know, Bill Murray starred in Where the Buffalo Roam, a film about Hunter S. Thompson. I guess they were pretty good friends. I could see that happening. And for those who don't know, Hunter S. Thompson was an author, the creator of gonzo journalism. His infamy was the Johnny Depp movie, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Fascinating character. Really a unicorn when it comes to writing. But he also was heavily involved in the conspiracy and the power corruption of politics. Didn't like the police. He wasn't a back the blue guy. He called most politicians swine. He hated Nixon. And I mean, I just touched the surface. I'm not so-called fanboy of Hunter S. I love him. I absolutely love what he did for media, and I think more people should be treating the political landscape like he did. He almost treated it as a comical satire of itself, like it was a circus. And Bill Murray dropped a move. Can't wait to see it. Did he put out a movie? Maybe that's if Bill Murray put out a movie, say that's exactly why he went on Joe Rogan, probably to plug the movie. Because I couldn't imagine Bill Murray lending Joe Rogan that much favor and that much reputation, lending credibility to Joe Rogan when Joe Rogan's just a disaster. He is actively hurting working people, his own listeners, you know. He's actively doing that in the propaganda he's promoting. The billionaire clientele list that he has on to promote hey, we should deregulate stuff. We should deregulate banks. And the lies. The most weird thing is like, yeah, he just made a new movie. Oh, what is it called, Seha? Do you know? I love Bill Murray. I know he did a fantastic job on the SNL 50th or whatever it was. And I mean, that guy's old, but goddamn, he ain't out of touch or you know, he's still got his impeccable timing. He was great in Ghostbusters, that last Ghostbusters where they brought him back. But Joe Rogan, he is actively harming people, including his listeners. Because, listen, I do this live stream when I can, right? This is like the Rob experience. But I do it when I can. I don't have, you know, another phone where I could Google stuff. Joe has a producer, whatever his name is, Todd. It's probably some guy named Todd or Gunther, whatever he says, where he's like, Todd, look it up for me. So they can actively, just remember that. It's called Riff Raff, Bill Murray's new drop. Interesting. Thank you, Seha. I will go watch the trailer to Riff Raff and see what Bill Murray's doing now. But with Joe Rogan's ability, or anybody's ability, to just Google stuff on the fly, like in radio. That's what the amazing part of radio is. You know, you didn't have to look things up or just know things. It came to a point where we had the internet, we had computers, so when you're talking about something, you could look stuff up to reference it or cite it more properly or correctly. And Joe has that ability. He'll tell his producer, like, pull it up, pull it up. But when he's told flat out lies, that banking guy, I forget who that banking guy was. He went on and just said like some bold-faced lies. And Joe at no point was like, oh, let's look that up. Let's look up if the CFPB actually debanks people, or what they were doing is protecting people from getting debanked, protecting people and their free speech from being removed from the banking system. Like, this banking guy went on there and told flat out lies that were opposite of what he was claiming. And Joe didn't even say, oh, really? Like, that's what happened? And hey, look that up. Like, he did nothing. He did the least amount of effort. I guess that's why people like him. They're like, he just uses his own brain for stuff. It's like all those people who are like, why do I have an immune system? And they're wearing, like, you know, glasses with lenses that help them see. It's like, well, you got fucking eyes, you know, take off your glasses. You know, you got an immune system and you don't need vaccines. Well, why would you need glasses? Why would you need an ED pill? Like, if we're going to go that route, if you're going to be the holistic hippie Mother Nature tree hugger, then go the full route, bro. Don't just pick and choose. And that's what Joe Rogan does. I feel like a lot of his guests on his podcast lie about a lot of the things they talk about. Well, it's a safe haven for propaganda. So 100% soulless. And it used to not be as bad. It used to be entertaining, like aliens and conspiracies and stuff that wasn't actively harmful. But now, if you look at his list, just like Trump's inauguration, you're seeing his list not just be of like random interesting people, but guests who are like in the banking sector, investors, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, like people who have a political agenda and an actively hurting people political agenda. Like, this is a consolidation of power, and Joe Rogan's podcast guest list as of recently is just like political mouthpieces for Trump and that whole agenda. Bill Murray did hot ones like a trooper. Sean is a great interviewer, but Sean does meticulous work to verify what he's going to talk about. Joe does the opposite. He says, well, if it sounds kind of true, then it's got to be right. Or if not, maybe it's a conspiracy, and doesn't really look into it. And I didn't watch the Bill Murray Hot Ones, only because Hot Ones is so 2015 to me. I mean, I wish Sean would just do an interview. Take the Hot Ones out of it, like it's old. But I'm old, so don't listen to me. Oh, man. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I bring you news commentary. We're talking about Joe Rogan and his obsession with Hunter S. Thompson, while obliviously not understanding Hunter S. Thompson would hate Joe Rogan. Hunter S. Thompson, like these people, like I've heard Joe Rogan, you know, well, who can't acknowledge George Carlin being one of the best comics ever in existence? You know, one of the best. He even transcended comedy into philosopher. I make all my kids listen to George Carlin material before they graduate high school. My daughter loved his bit from jamming in New York on golf courses, turning golf courses, make houses for the homeless on golf courses. He says it's a waste of land, you know. But he didn't beat a sweat. Wow, really? Bill Murray can handle the heat. I might have to watch that. That's wild. But you know what? Bill Murray's a unicorn, so of course he did. On Hot Ones, not sweat. A bead of sweat. And Solus is correct. Join our Discord, link down below. And I put all the stuff I plan to talk about. The great Substack article by a guy who studied in college, wrote his master thesis on Hunter S. Thompson. He wrote a Substack about Joe Rogan's obsession, his interview with Bill Murray, and how Joe Rogan is completely wrong about who he thinks Hunter S. Thompson is, and that if Hunter was alive, he would hate Joe. Despise him, his words. And I agree. I think he absolutely would. You know, Hunter S. Thompson wasn't in the journalism arena to help Nixon obfuscate. Is that the word? Obfuscate to make unclear the truths. You know, Hunter S. Thompson was trying to dive to the core of things. He was a defender of rights and personal freedoms and liberties and stuff like that. But more importantly, as this Substack points out, written by Pajiba, I don't know how to pronounce it, but read it. Link down below. Unicorn says it. Yeah, Bill Murray's a unicorn. Hunter S. Thompson, unicorn. George Carlin, unicorn. These are a once-in-a-lifetime soul that had a special purpose. But, man, to think, to be Joe Rogan, like, you could tell Joe Rogan's stupid, because to not essentially understand Hunter S. Thompson, that Hunter always punched up, whether it was Democrat, Republican, whether his journalism or his articles or essays, he was always punching up, whether it be at the police, the oppressors, the Democrats, the ridiculous, the power corruption. He always punched up. He was never attacking the marginalized in society. And yes, there are some language and maybe a light touch of racism in there, but the themes that Hunter S. Thompson went after were about the oppressors, the people trying to oppress. And to categorize him, you know, maybe it's just that broligarchy that Joe's involved in that thinks the chaos and drug use and because he owned a gun makes him a libertarian right-wing person, which that is also debunked in an article I put down below by Jacobin, my favorite and only magazine I will pay for. Tevez Kellers, Joe Rogan, 5'4". Yeah, well, listen, when I worked in radio, Joe Rogan came in. We did a bunch of interviews with Joe Rogan. I remember when I went to Vegas for some of the fights and Joe Rogan we had just interviewed Joe Rogan earlier in the day talking about his comedy and him going to the fights. We were like, we'll see you there. So he had clearly met me. He probably don't remember me, but he gets in the elevator and he's a little guy. He's a little guy. He might be wider than he is tall. I'm not sure. Science has not proven yet. But I was like, hey, what's up, Joe? You know, we talked to you earlier. And he looked at me like he wanted to, you know, clobber me like Bam Bam from the Flintstones. And I was just like, geez, I'm just saying hi. Like, fucking get over yourself. You know, he was very much on edge. He was a fighter, so he had to slow down and think and get hit in the head so many times. Well, Rogan does give a rip. That's the thing. He cares about his image and his wealth. You know, he moved from California to Texas for freedoms and to get away from the woke leftists. Ironically, he moved to Austin. I believe that's where he lived, Austin, Texas, which is the wokest leftist place in Texas. It's like, I gotta get away from this California liberal mentality. Let me go to the most liberal city in Texas. Like, that in itself, like, how, when he's announcing that stuff, or when he talks to his little comedy minions, like Bobby, what's his name? That Bobby guy? I forget his name. Or whatever his comedy minions are. When he's like, you should move to Texas. You should move to Austin. Get away from that Hollywood liberalism. It's like, how has nobody been like, you moved to the most liberal place in Texas, dude? Like, you moved to literally the one place in Texas that is known for being so woke and liberal, so hipster and free, so mustache waxed up. Fuck, this guy just on his face is dumb, you know? Like, does he not hear? But again, this is my point. Joe Rogan will say, I had to get away from the liberals in California, so I moved to the most liberal city in Texas, and not hear the irony of, like, you sound dumb, you know? Like, you didn't move to, like, Arkansas. You know? Like, Joe, move to a really red state, you know? Go to Mississippi, Joe. Why didn't you move to the coast of Mississippi? Is this only hilarious to me, or does anybody else get this? Like, does anybody else get that Joe Rogan complaining about the liberals in California to move to the most liberal place in Texas is just hilarious on its face? It just shows how stupid he is. How unserious he is while thinking he's very serious. Like, he thinks he's a very serious guy who knows things. And he's coy. He's a good actor in the way that he pretends to, like, well, I'm just a dumb guy who's trying to learn. But it's like, if you challenge his core beliefs, or not even his core beliefs, if you challenge what he actually believes is true, he will fight to the death for that. I mean, the guy moved. You know how expensive it is to move? I guess he's got $100 million. But the guy literally moved from California to get away from the woke liberal mindset, Hollywood, and he moved to the Hollywood of Texas. Jesus. Hipster in Texas. I thought they were cowboys. Black Merlin. Most of Texas is. Where Joe Rogan moved, Austin, if you just look it up. Look up like the Austin festivals or people in Austin. Like my friend who is like basically a gay socialist communist has best friends in Texas and just went there because it's so radically leftist and woke. You know what I mean? It's like, so when Joe's like, I had to get away from those liberals, I moved to liberal Texas. It's like, Joe is so fucking dumb. He's so dumb. So yeah, Black Merlin, if you just look up Austin, just look up, is Austin, liberal or woke, and just have fun with that. Especially every time Joe Rogan brags about getting away from the liberal elites. It's like, what? To just, like, seriously, because if he really wanted to get away, he would move to Arkansas, Mississippi, place where, not only is the school, the education, all that stuff is horrendous, but where they're really, really deep red, where they're deep conservative, move to that Baptist Bible Belt, Joe. That's where you want to go, right? For your freedoms. No, he didn't. The cities in most states are more blue. 100% say ha. But we're talking specifically about the irony of Joe Rogan thinking he's a serious person. It's just so funny. Like, every time I hear that, I'm like, is nobody going to say to Joe, like, Joe, you got away from the Hollywood liberals to move to the Texas liberals? Like, come on, Joe, you're not serious? Bill Burr is the only person who I think calls Joe out, because Bill Burr is up here and, is a comic, and Joe Rogan is an actor. He's a poser. So Joe, completely misunderstanding himself when he speaks aloud, saying, I got away from liberals in California, so I moved to the most liberal city in Texas, is doing that with Hunter Thompson. And that's what that article, blue is not Trump. Blue would be Democrats and red would be Trump. So if you even look up who voted, the voting districts, you could probably see how it's very blue around the cities. I'm dead in the Bible Belt buckle. They made the movie Footloose about the town I live in. Oh my God, say ha, really? Footloose. I haven't seen that, but I know it's a great flick. It doesn't interest me. But I know that, I think I've seen the whole movie just in YouTube clips alone. Kevin Bacon, in a town that can't dance, goes to an empty barn and dances. The 80s were you could tell we had some prosperity in America, because if you could, in the 80s, make a movie about a town that outlawed dancing, where Kevin Bacon to come and save it, like, there was money to spend. It was illegal to dance. Was that true, Seha? Was that ripped from real life? That they couldn't dance? Because that's funny as hell. I don't know the backstory. I'm not a big Kevin Bacon or Footloose fan, but that is absolutely interesting that you're from that town. Yes, the town I live in. Yes, it was. Oh, Seha, you got to come on and tell the story about your town and how it became illegal to dance. I'm guessing, well, you already said Bible Belts. I was going to say, it's definitely some kind of religious thing. They twisted Jesus's words to mean love your neighbor, to mean something about, not moving your feet in motion with music. It's amazing what people will do. And that's here in the land of the free. Somebody was talking to me about yesterday on the live stream. They were like, you don't think America's free? I'm like, I don't know. Ask the people who lived in a town where it was illegal to dance how free they are. Everybody jokes it's like communist China. But no. That's here in America, where it was illegal to dance. I'm guessing if you ran in a certain fashion, if you ran a little flamboyantly, you probably spent a couple nights in jail. That's hilarious. All right, so back to Joe Rogan actively misrepresenting who Hunter S. Thompson was. and Bill Murray placating him, not knowing who Joe Rogan is. Ooh, is there irony in there? Anyways, Joe, 750 population, 10 churches, a pastor's son died partying, and they banned loud music and dancing. Wow. So Footloose, based on the movie, based on the town, with a population of 750, 10 churches, 75 people per church. I'm surprised 10 churches didn't go to war with each other, religious infighting war to get more parishioners. A pastor's son had died partying, and they banned loud music and dancing. That is incredible. For how long? Do you know how long, Seha? Like, what undid the ban, or can you still not have loud music and dance? Or was the movie Footloose like the saving grace? They were like, we see the error of our ways. But again, this speaks to so much about America. Pastor's son died, and everybody has to suffer. He can't be like, oh, my son was, obviously is a horrible whatever, but we don't need to ban dancing and music. That is so fascinating, Seha. We can now, but yep. I'm glad to hear here in America, the land of the free, Seha, you're allowed to dance again. When people brag about their freedoms, I think of shit like that. Thank you, Seha. It is good to see you back in the live streams, man. I will say that. It is good to have you back, Seha. And if you're new, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Where else are you going to learn that Footloose, the 80s movie with Kevin Bacon, not the remake, was based on a real town from Seha, who is here in the chat, saying that they did a very highly religious town, the buckle of the Bible Belt, where they outlawed loud music and dancing here in America, land of the free. They made it illegal to dance because a pastor's son died. Whew, corruption of power. Corruption of power. Oh my gosh, that is... So, back to Joe Rogan. And I brought up George Carlin too, because any comic has to respect Carlin, and Carlin would have hated Joe Rogan. If you just listen to, I don't know, a minute of George Carlin, you understand George Carlin always punched up. He was always against the corruption, the power, the political identities, how Joe Rogan always talks about leftist wokes and right and freedom. And Carlin was against that. In fact, one of his bits, he says, it's all a big club. Red, blue, Democrat, Republican, they're all in a big club together, and you're not in it. But once Joe Rogan got that $100 million contract from Spotify and got paid and moved from woke leftist California to the wokest city in Texas, Joe joined the club. And that's what you see now. And he's taken a lot of these people along with him for the ride. And they're duped. Maybe they only know Hunter S. Thompson as a drug-fueled, chaotic conspiracy Ravager from the Johnny Depp movie. But Hunter was more than that. He was a brilliant, genius writer. I bought a couple of his books because I wanted to, read more of his style. There's nothing like it. And I would love to emulate it because it's so good. But Hunter attacked those power structures. That was the basis. When he went into the Hells Angels, he said they are the outcast of capitalism. He blamed capitalism for a lot of things. And when he had a passion for guns, he wasn't some gun nut who thought, in fact, at one point, I think in an interview or a letter, he said, should there be a big gun registration for people? He said, I'm not sure. I'm not the one who can make that call. But he considered it, Sometimes they watch me jam. Hello, random man that needs Jesus. Oh, don't we all, Anonymous? Good to have you back, as much as you like to troll me. Black Merlin. Nope. Thanks. I think we all do. He had a radical message. Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor. I love that. I try to read a little bit about Jesus every single day. In fact, a guy the other day, I was walking into a store, and he goes, here, can I tell you about Jesus? He tried to hand me a card, and I just ignored him, kept walking. He said, what, you too good to hear about Jesus? And I turned around and showed him my tattoo and said, no, I'm well informed about Jesus. Just too many people like you out here trying to spread that gospel as a tool of oppression. And the guy left. He left from the front of the store. He walked away. I just don't like when people use religion as a form of oppression. Jesus was not about that. Jesus was a radical revolutionary who believed in healthcare being a guaranteed human right. That's why he healed the sick and helped the poor. So Joe Rogan, if you're watching, thanks. Hit subscribe and notification bell. But I want people to consider too, when Joe's going into all these conspiracy theories or being told stuff by billionaires that they're trying to propagandize his audience. They realize he has a large working class audience. They think he's a working class hero, and he's a working class trader. He comes from Natick, Mass. It's a pretty, blue collar town, pretty working class. And he's completely climbed the ladder and kicked it out from under him. And he's doing active damage to our communities by having on these billionaires, these broligarchs, these tech people who want to have tech cities run by corporations, run by your bosses. I talked about it yesterday. And he's pawning this stuff off as if it's true when he has a producer who can double check this stuff. And I'm pretty sure that producer, being a producer for 20 years myself, probably heard some of these things, looked them up, knew they were false, and just was like, oh, we shouldn't, they probably have hand signals. We would have hand signals. But we weren't actively trying to deceive our audience. And that's really where I hold him to account. Once you're paid $100 million, you have some responsibility there. And Joe pretends like, I'm just the guy who doesn't know. He's like the Jersey Shore from Massachusetts. That's what Joe Rogan is. Jesus. Anyways, I believe in God. Can look at the stars and the world around you and not believe man is corrupt. They invented religion as an early form of government. And I respect that take. I believe Jesus is God because he, to this day, is still teaching radical messages of love your enemy. Rage Against the Machine said, know your enemy. Jesus said, love them. Two of my favorites right there. And George Carlin. George Carlin, just I implore everybody to listen to his stuff. And I'm going to talk about a video that I linked down below. Carlin always punched up. He always attacked. He went after almost everyone in his brilliant comedy, but his overarching themes were like, the government doesn't care, they don't want to help people, there's a war on everything, but why isn't there a war on homelessness? There's no money in it. He saw through the lines, and he essentially spoke out for people. He did his comedy bits, but he was always for the people. Joe has abandoned the people in the wake of these billionaire friends that he has now, like Mark Zuckerberg, or Elon Musk. Joe has had on Elon Musk more times than I'd like to count. And I love my neighbor, particularly Paul. Oh my God. Joe has had on Elon twice, and Joe's line of questioning, just his line of questioning. Do people not see this like I do? I know I worked in radio, so I maybe listen or hear things differently, but I gotta feel like, I really feel like everybody heard this correctly, or the way that it was intended. Joe asked Elon Musk, after paying billions for Twitter, how does it feel to have people call you a Nazi on there? And I'm like, Joe, that's not even a correct question. He bought Twitter and then did a lot of Hitler salutes, and then people called him Nazi. He did stuff, his actions. It wasn't the action of buying Twitter that wasn't the reaction to him buying Twitter. It was his personal reactions. And for Joe to just obfuscate that is malicious. That is malicious. And that hurts people. And Joe, just like most wealthy, powerful people in America, they just shun responsibility or accountability. I listen to his audiobooks now and then. Carlin is an endless pile of brilliance. Yup, my mom, I was one of the last gifts she got me was another Carlin book. She got me 2 or 3, but she loved him, and that really stuck with me, So, Carlin would have, spit on Joe Rogan's grave. The amount of damage. And, that's the unfortunate thing. Joe has everything he needs. He has a mansion. He has the wilderness he craved to move to Texas, which, Joe, if you really wanted to live in a right-wing, full of wilderness place, go to Mississippi, go to Arkansas. Why is nobody calling him on that? People call Joe Rogan out when he brings up that he moved from the woke mind virus to Texas for the landscape and the hunting. It's like, why don't you go next door, you know? Mississippi, Alabama. Why don't you go to one of those places? That's real right wing. You moved to the wokest place in Texas, Joe. We see through your facade, but people just buy it. I don't know. Maybe people in Austin are pissed. They're like, bro, we're not like total, Trump conservatives here. And even Joe talks about how nice the people in Austin are. It's like, Joe, do you not see how stupid you sound? My God. And that's the whole thing. Even Elon Musk said to Joe Rogan, like, empathy is our greatest weakness. But Joe likes when people are nice. They're just walking contradictions, but they don't care. And that's what bugs me. It's like Joe got to a place. We got $100 million. He got to move, have the mansion, got to do whatever he wanted. And he turned around and started spitting, venom at people who don't even have close to what he has or ever will. And it's like, that's a real sign of character to me. If you have all your needs and wants met, your needs and wants, anything you want is met, and you turn around and you focus on people who have nothing and try to ruin their life, that shows me you have zero character. Scumbag. Really good seeing you. Please stop by, say hi. I will live stream Fortnite this weekend. I will find some time. I'm trying to balance a lot of things because I need to find some work. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. I do this for the love of it and to bring awareness and to have discussions with people. I pray, please help me turn this into a career for me. I worked in radio forever. Private equity has eradicated jobs from radio. They're syndicating shows everywhere. They're laying off people so much that they have a layoff season. So I'm, just doing what I can to help my family survive. So if you could hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and in between everything this weekend, I will try to do some Fortnite live stream because that's just fun. Soulless, if you're still here or if you watch later, please jump on Fortnite. Love to team up with you. Say hi if you play Fortnite. Let's connect. Fun to watch Fortnite. It is. And there's some new games that they dropped at Fortnite. My son needs me to help him progress in levels, so I'll live stream it. Say hi. Thank you for stopping by. I truly love this community that we're building. However small, however large it gets, it's awesome to see people stop by again and again. Yeah, Solus. Solus still here. Love Solus. Solus helped build out the Discord, so you can join us there. We can connect and communicate outside of the lives, outside of the live streams, outside of the Fortnite there. Solus, if you can, tonight, tomorrow, whenever, I'll just keep an eye out for you if you're on. If you can. If you're busy, don't even sweat it. But if you can, it'd be amazing to team up and do a live stream. And please, the other thing I wanted to bring up, Benn Jordan, a YouTuber with like 500,000 subs. He's a pretty talented musician. I don't remember. I know I subscribed to him, but he's a talented, thoughtful guy. He just did a video with 1.6 million views. I linked it down below. It's called The Death of American Capitalism. I posted some image of it in my community because he shows that from 1996 till 2021, the American Stock Exchange, in 1996, it had 8,000 companies listed. In 2021, it had 4,000. We've lost 50% of the companies in the stock exchange. While the rest of the world he put on display from 96 to 2021 doubled. Why is that? Consolidation. Right now in America, there's an effort to consolidate power. Corporations are funded by private equity like BlackRock, etc., etc. They own everything. So if you care about small businesses, if you care about your community, this is an alarming thing to see the numbers. And Ben Johnson, I think it is, Ben Jordan did a great video. I linked it down in the description. It's a long video, but take the time to watch it. He goes back through the history, and history will show us the roadmap going forward. So please, it's alarming. And I've been screaming this for decades, but they're consolidating power. It's why anywhere, if you go to the Bible Belt, if you go to California, you go to Texas, it all looks the same except for the landscape. It's all Walmart, Kohl's, Target, CVS, Walgreens. That's it. It all sucks. And we should take that back, and we can. We have the power. That's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to spread awareness, bring you news, commentary, newsmentary. So if you could, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Seha, Black Merlin, Anonymous even stopped by. So, Solus, and thank you. So yeah, that's it for today. Go check out the links below. Please read that Substack about Hunter S. Thompson despising Joe Rogan, the Jacobin article about Hunter S. Thompson being more radical than people would like to believe, even though he was pretty radical when he lived, and the Ben Jordan video. I also linked another news story we didn't get to touch, but that's all for now. Link to Discord in the description. Have a great day, Black Merlin. Everybody enjoy your weekend, and I will see you when I live stream some Fortnite later. Peace.